Hello, Jim.
Hello, Jimmy. How are you going?
Hello, Grant, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Grant, you can't be bringing it out, man, which is surprisingly well.
Yeah, hi, Jimmy. Lovely to see you again. This question is actually from my friend Jenny. I've been experiencing unexpected visits from presences, and I guess this is all new to me, and I'm a bit sort of, how do I, as soon as I look at them, they disappear.
Okay, Jimmy, there was your question.
So when you're sensitive to my side of life, which everyone has an ability for, you have to remember you're normal. So if you're trying to develop a circle within your side of life, if you wanted to develop it. Otherwise, if you'd spend time to sit in your own power, in your own space, you could begin to develop your own ability there.
Jeremy, with a bit of background, Jenny has been joining our circle, which now sits weekly in support of our medium, Bernie. So she's come into this and has just started, it's probably been 4 or 5 times she sat with us, and is just starting to be awakened in this regard, and she's not quite sure how to handle it. Whereas we're all used to it.
Kind of. It'd be a bit of a shock at the beginning when you're first getting used to this kind of thing. The best thing you can be doing for yourself is to be sitting in the power within your own rights there, to just get used to becoming aware of energies around you and becoming aware again that you are spirit first and foremost, and they've always been around you. You just haven't had the awareness or the perception of it. And indeed, understand as well that everything that's coming around you, it comes on a vibration of love. So the more you get used to it, the more it become natural to you or supernatural. But it will take a bit of time, and especially if it's something new to you, you're going to be like a little kid in the sweet shop there, where you'd be very excited and your energy's built all over the place. But with a bit of practice, it will start to come down, and it will become more natural to you.
Thank you. Thanks, Jimmy.
Hi, Jimmy. Yesterday we were talking about this reality that we've created and it being a vibration or a frequency. But I've met a lot of people that can do amazing things in this reality, see 1,000 more colours and manipulate things and put their hand through things, and even me with the wall disappearing. So if all that is a possibility in our reality, how much can we change our reality? Say the law of attraction, for example.
You have full control over your reality. However, you have to understand within the physical realm, there are physical laws that must be adhered to. And it all depends what lessons you've come to experience within this current lifetime as you experience it. So the more aware you are of the true self, and that you are all vibration and everything that is an interaction within those vibrations, then even something such as a solid object is only solid by your perception. If you can truly change that perception, then you can change that physicality there.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to hear. Thank you.
Is that changing the perception or changing our frequency by, like thinking very positive thoughts and have strong intention? Or is it just moving our focus from one to another?
It's a bit of one and the same. It's about truly being able to believe something, and that's beyond just the mind believing. It's having the true understanding to be able to then manipulate or change your environment around you. So indeed, even the passage of time, you have a heartbeat there, which is keeping the passage of time. So even in that regard, you have a physicality there, which is feeding into that belief system.
Ah, yes.
So can I just ask one more question there? So then, Jimmy, if that's a possibility and we can alter things with a complete understanding of it in our truth, then is it possible that we could then go back and forward in time?
Indeed, and indeed, there's other intelligences of your side of life which are not governed by time as much as you are. Indeed, time is a physicality. It is one of the material laws. So you are stuck within your physical construct. So the more you can go beyond the physical construct, the more you can then manipulate the time factor.
Perfect. Thank you, Jimmy.
Jimmy, we have a set thing in life, our blueprint, where we're going to and when we're born and when we pass away. Is there a way we can change this part of our life? How long we live for and whatever?
From the physical side of life, you can't. All these decisions are made from my side of life when you have the awareness of the choices that you're making. Now, indeed, they are your choices, or it's simply made at a state when you have the awareness of why you're choosing to go through that. But in the physical life, I'm afraid you can't make those changes. You will return to my side of life as and when you've chosen to.
Is that, Jimmy, is that true that we have 3 outs?
Now, this may be close calls with my side of life or shifts within your consciousness that may change your direction in life. But again, nobody will return to my side of life as and when until they've chosen to.
Okay.
I just wanted to ask something while we just on this changing our reality. How about what is happening in out-of-body experiences?
In an out-of-body experience, you're getting closer to my side of life. The veil between your side of life and mine is thinner. You are aware or have extra perception of other vibrations which you're not normally aware of within your conscious wakeness. So you have a better glimpse of my side of life. You're not getting a true picture, but when you return that information to the physical mind will have to make sense of it.
So somebody with that, William Buhlman is saying that you would, if you want to do out-of-body experiences, you need to be aware of the fears you carry because you can manifest them. Is that true?
Just like a thought can be very easily changed, the same thing can happen within this experience. Indeed, you're very much in control. So if you're not in control of your emotions, they will take over and they will dictate what you experience.
Is that then the same as Abraham Hicks is saying? If you want something, you hold the intention, you hold the vibration like you already have it, so you can have it?
Indeed, it's about understanding that everything you're experiencing within your life is your creation, it's your reality. So if you wanted something to change in someone else, you have to make that change within yourself because it's your reality. You can't expect someone else to do it for you.
So the law of attraction is a real law and it works regardless.
It's part of the material world. It is material law. Again, it's a bit like if you wanted to win the lottery and you were determined to win the lottery, but you never bought a ticket. You can't complain when you get to my side of life if you didn't do your part.
I get that.
Yes, Jimmy. What about when you have an out-of-body experience that's spontaneous and you go from point A on Earth to point B on Earth? So you're standing, say, outside somebody else's house or something like that. What's happening there?
Indeed, it's entirely possible, and this will happen when you're in your dream state anyway. The only difference is normally when you're in your dream state, you don't have the conscious awareness there to take that information back to the physical mind to then be reverted to memory. So with an out-of-body experience that you have an awareness, you're simply consciously aware. Once you're consciously aware, you can then have some conscious control over what happened and what you do.
Okay. Now, I was awake at the time when this happened. It was a highly emotional state, but I was here and then there was some music on which put me there. So I was conscious.
Indeed, you can be both conscious and a projection of your mind or a projection of your perception can still have an out-of-body experience. That's entirely possible. And indeed, from my side of life, we aren't limited to just one perception. We have a bigger awareness of our time frames and our experiences.
Thank you, Jimmy.
What is it then when you have a dream and the dream is so real that you wake up and go, oh, I'm in my room, oh, okay, I need to go to the bathroom, then you lay down again and you're back in that story and it goes on for months. Why is that?
Often in cases like this, there's a message which is trying to come through to you. Now, this doesn't always necessarily have to come from my side of life. Sometimes it can be your own mind trying to process something or trying to make sense of something. And indeed, if you were to write down these dreams, you'd find there is a recurring theme or a recurring message in there. Once you understand the message, you find the dreams would change.
Oh, okay. So it is not like we talked the other day about that it also could be that we connecting in the greater awareness with an aspect of us, no?
Indeed, it is entirely possible. But in most cases, in what you're explaining, it's often a message trying to come through. And again, it's not often from my side of life. Sometimes it's simply the mind trying to digest.
Mine was actually just to get more clarity. How, from your side of life, can you explain what our out of bodies are, as a, to relate to what we actually experience in this reality? Obviously, you put everything in a form where we can understand it and comprehend it. Can you get into a bit more of a finer detail from your perspective by helping us understand it that way?
An out-of-body experience is experienced from your side of life. It's simply an expansion of your conscious awareness, your conscious perception beyond the limitations of the physical form. So indeed, if you wanted to visit a friend on the other side of the world, you wouldn't have to physically walk there. Simply having the intention to be there is enough to send your energy or your perception there. So indeed, you don't have as many limitations as you do within the physical form, but you're still under some limitations as you're still within the physical realm. And the information must be understood by the physical mind. So indeed, you're more like your spiritual self, your less physical self. You're more like those on my side of life, but you're still within the limitations.
So that comes from our subconscious, our unconscious, or the greater conscious, or combination of?
Now, when you're in your sleep state and your body is going through the healing process and the repairing process, often the subconscious or the awareness will be expanded beyond the physical form. What tends to happen though is the conscious mind isn't involved in this, so you're often not aware of this, or the extent of your awareness is in the form of a dream or what is remembered of the dream. However, with your out-of-body experiences, this is having the ability of allowing the conscious mind to be aware of the process while the body is in the sleep state.
So does that mean we're tapping into a higher part of ourselves then? Because we're
aware of a process that happens naturally anyway. You're just not normally consciously aware of it.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, thanks. Jimmy, you may have already answered this, but your speech is very quick and I need a little bit of time to understand what you're saying. But my question is, does intelligence have anything to do with developing awareness and the ability to understand the spiritual soul? You know, like understand, comprehend, conscious awareness. I'm not sure if you understand what I'm asking, but it's around intelligence. And
I the way I speak, I definitely try to slow down for you there.
Thank you.
Don't be afraid to tell me to slow down if I'm ever going too fast. Now, within your side of life, when we're working with your side of life, we have to work with where your understanding is at. So at times we may have to change the information to something that isn't necessarily correct, but it's because where you're at that time, that's all your mind or your reality can accept. And then in time, as you learn and as you grow, and as your intelligence grows, you begin to be able to then learn bigger truths, and the veil between your side of life and my side of life gets thinner. So indeed, the more you learn, the more you become aware, then the more your awareness will expand, because you'll be able to tap into energies that all of a sudden now you're becoming aware of, because you're at the stage where you're able to accept that information.
So as an extension of that, where does this fit for people with disabilities, particularly intellectual disabilities? How, you know, in terms of, do you get what I'm asking?
In what regards exactly?
Like, you know, they may not have the ability or the aptitude to, or even that they have a necessary function in the physical world to learn about themselves as a spiritual being, for example.
Now, indeed, on some levels, we can work beyond this. Now, again, if we're using the example of the out-of-body experience, once your perception is beyond the limitations of the physical form, you also leave behind any modalities of the physical form. So that can include things like disabilities, mental illness. So indeed, we can work with that state, and some of you on your side of life will work with that ability and in that way.
Okay, thank you.
Jimmy, mine's about transition. Now, if there is no separation and we're just at that level where we can't comprehend further up the ladder, so to speak, can you explain the actual transition process, knowing that there is no separation? Do we go through reality sections as we're getting nearer and nearer to where you're at, for example? Is it like our own reality to help us do that transition, that change in frame of mind? Can you explain a bit about that?
Now, some will have a slower transition between your side of life and my side of life, whereas some will have a nice, quick surprise transition there. It really depends how you've chose to return to My Side of Life, what experience you're going to gain, and what's the intention behind it. However, everyone who returns to My Side of Life, it will be done in a way that your personality, your consciousness, as you may want to call it, will be able to understand and accept within My Side of Life. Indeed, it'd be like going from a kindergarten to the big school. They wouldn't necessarily throw you into the lesson straight away. They'd introduce you, they'd show you around, and then you'd slowly be taken into the lessons until you get used to it. Same with returning to My Side of Life. So some of you on your side may have some awareness in My Side of Life, such as loved ones drawing close to them before the transition to help with transition. Others may find that if they were to pass in, say, an accident, then they may find themselves in a hospital situation and may not know straight away that they've returned to My Side of Life. And then in time that will be introduced to them as and when they're ready to accept that.
So those that have no belief in an afterlife and they find themselves intermittently in, say, a dark space until there's a realization or someone comes to help them, what do they experience while they're in that space?
So an atheist will often pass to My Side of Life very easily and very quickly. And indeed, they may find, say, the hospice situation, and then they'll accept that, okay, life did go on, I got that wrong, but I'm sure happy I got it wrong. Whereas it's more those who may have a religious background who think they're going to be in a state where they have to suffer or punished for their actions are the ones that are more likely to slow down their transition. So we will work with that, and we'll work with that personality to try and help them to return to My Side of Life in any way that they can. And indeed, some within your side of life may slow down the transition from your side to my side, but it'll still be in a healing capacity and in a way that their mind will accept. But indeed, we have to work with where the vibration is at, with what they're expecting and what they're allowing within their vibration.
So there's still some form of perception where that individual is concerned, that personality is concerned.
Indeed, there'll still be a form of perception. The personality will still carry on, but the reality you find yourself in may be very different to the reality you've left behind.
Okay, thank you.
Jimmy, just on Kath's comment, I know a lot of mediums who are autistic or who have dyslexia like I do, and we get a knowing, like a complete concept, a knowing, and I often get a knowing of things before other mediums that I know that read up on things. So how is that possible? Or is the concept given to me because it already exists in my timeline? How does that work, you know, for people that do have these disabilities?
After with disabilities such as your autisms, as you like to call it, as a disability, it's actually a higher brain functioning. So indeed, when you have the extra of the higher brain functioning, we're able to actually tap into your consciousness a lot easier than those that maybe don't have the higher functions there and are more trapped within the physical realm, and the physical is their master, rather forgetting that they are spirit first and foremost, and that spirit is the master. So indeed, with a higher brain function, yes, it may manifest as some issues within the physical realm, but often working with a My Side of Life, you have a clearer connection.
Thank you, Jimmy. And the other question was, I thought that this year I might sit with people in hospice and help them pass over. I think I might dedicate some time to that. And if I did that, would that assist their whole personality to be able to move to the spirit world and not leave part of their emotional state still somewhere in the ether?
As long as you're not holding a pillow over their face and you're allowing the transition to be done by My Side of Life, being there can definitely help someone to accept the transition process and to make the transition process more helpful. And indeed, a lot of healing that occurs within your side of life is not to necessarily stop someone from passing, but to help with the passing.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
If someone is on extremely heavy drugs at night to stop post-traumatic stress disorder, which is really a physical, emotional problem, does that impede their astral travelling? And how much of an impediment is it to really having dreams? Because the medication's supposed to stop those dreams, but that's a physical side of thing. Is there any impact of taking those medications?
The issue would be how the information or the input is recorded within the physical mind. So you may still have the experience, but as you bring those experiences back to become memory within the physical mind, that's when you create an issue, because there may not be the capacity or the ability for that to be stored as memory, or those memories may be distorted, changing the experience.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Thank you.
So yeah, so I just wanted to ask, with past loved ones, do they use up energy when they try to send us signs, or I don't know, try to touch us in the physical world, or speak to mediums or things like that? Because I know sometimes people say that, oh, they're always with you, but then others are like, well, do you know how much of energy it takes for them to send you that? So I'm just wondering, which is it?
So any type of phenomena that occurs within your cellular life does require energy to happen. However, you are surrounded by an abundance of energy. We're not going to run out anytime soon. What would more likely happen is your loved one would seek out someone within my side of life who has the experience to create that phenomenon. So indeed, you got someone there who's got the experience and the expertise. So they will try wherever is possible. And whenever you're consciously ready to accept that phenomena, they'll try the phenomena around you.
Okay, so if it's something that I personally would not feel, it's more of me, not really that it's not that they don't have the energy. It's just that I'm not ready to accept it, or not in the right state of mind, or something like that.
Indeed, and it comes back to our earlier conversations about everything you experience is your reality. So if your energy isn't ready to accept, then we wouldn't be able to control that energy around you to create the phenomena.
Got it. Thank you.
Jimmy, I can't get my question. I'm thinking about when we have healing on earth, when we go to healers and our spirit guides come in and we have a healing. How does that correlate with the death process? When we've moved, how's that connected with spirit once we pass? Is it all just part of our journey? Am I making sense? I can't grasp the question. Sorry, Jimmy.
So any healing that occurs within your cellular is self-healing. So we would work with, say, the Akashic Records to see what can be allowed within your energy, and then kind of encourage your energy to make those changes. Indeed, sometimes the healing isn't to necessarily stop the issues within your cellular life. It's to help that personality begin that transition to my cellular life. And then once you return to my cellular life, every personality, every soul will go through a healing process until they're ready to accept, until they're able to move their vibration on beyond the physical realm to then accept my side of life.
Hello. My question is, sometimes when I do readings, I'm very clear and accurate and very specific. And then other times I feel like I'm walking through mud. And my question is it me? And what can I do to be clearer or more accurate or more specific? Or is it the client? What's the block? When sometimes it's amazing, and then other times it just doesn't feel as fluid.
So to look at your energy there, the advice I can give you, a lot of the mediums in your cellular life are taught to make the connection through the person they're reading. Now, the benefit of this is if there's a good connection and a good love connection, you're going to get a nice strong reading out of that person and a nice connection with my side of life. However, if you have a person there that really isn't giving the energy, then that's going to create a blockage, and it's going to make it very hard to communicate and work. However, you'd be much better to try and connect with the personality yourself, not using the other person as the conduit. And this is what you're experiencing here. Because you're working through the energy of the person you're reading, then you're limited by their limitations.
Okay, so I'll have to learn how to do that.
So what you want to do in this case is keep the intention of who it is you're working with, but you make the connection and then work with the personality within my side of life rather than the energy of the sitter.
Thank you. And can I ask one more question?
Yes.
I'm asking a question about suicide, and sometimes when I do a reading, and for example, when I just recently did a reading for a gentleman, I couldn't connect with the lady. So is that me again? I couldn't, and I didn't know it was suicide. I didn't know. I always say, don't tell me anything. But afterwards, I understood it to be a suicide. And then sometimes I've done a suicide and I knew it was suicide and it was a clear connection. So it's back to my original question. It's because I'm not connecting directly to the soul. I'm connecting to the client or working through them.
Indeed.
I think I've answered my own question.
Is people who often say, never hear from their father, it's not because the father doesn't want to come through, it's because they have an emotional blockage within themselves, which is stopping that connection from happening.
Okay, I understand. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Can you please explain the virus? And is this big change for us humans for the better?
What would you like to know about the virus?
Us as humans are hearing so many conflicting messages, and it's changed our world for not the better and maybe for the better. So is it real? Is it what's happening? Not really. I hope that explained it a little bit more.
Indeed, I can advise there is a realness there, and there is a misfunction within your cellular life which you're experiencing as the virus there. And as I look at the energy there going forward in your timeline, you're not coming to the end of it anytime soon, really, and then you have implications afterwards. But it is a great opportunity for your side of life to learn and to grow. And indeed, sure, all the time you have sitting at home will give you a great opportunity to be working with my side of life and developing yourself.
Okay, you say that it's for better for us, which I can see in a lot of ways it is, but mandatory vaccines, I can't see that being a good thing for us. Am I wrong?
It's more the opportunity it would give your side of life to learn and grow. So for example, if this virus didn't happen, then sure, looking down your timeline, mankind would have wiped themselves out with the way they were going. So what you'll learn from this experience would change your society and your civilization that would allow mankind to stay within your planet for a lot longer, rather than going along in ignorance until it's too late to fix things.
Thank you.
Now, I'm not saying that everything's going to be smooth and that it's all going to be straightforward and there's not going to be any implications or issues that will arise going forward. But in the grand scheme of things, mankind will learn from it.
Thank you. But will the vaccinations be bad for our human body?
Now, looking at the energy of it there, and from what I've heard from my side of life, it's not as dangerous as people think it is. It won't be as effective as people think it is, but it won't be as dangerous as people think it is.
Thank you so much.
I really don't have a question. I came in kind of late. My husband passed away 11/16/20, and he always said, look for the signs, but I'm not seeing any, and I'm waiting for a visitation. I'm trying to connect spiritually. I'm just kind of lost, and I can't function right now.
I can understand your situation there. Now, the best advice I can give you, try and spend some time to sit in the power and address the emotional hurt, which is completely understandable and is perfectly natural for the physical form. And understand it's not that they don't necessarily want to come through and connect with you. Often it's the emotional hurt or grief that we can feel, or the loss that we can feel within your side of life, that can stop the connection in the way we want it to happen. So indeed, the more you can do some work and address that emotion, the easier it's going to be for that personality to make contact in the way that they promised they would.
Thank you.
Not that exciting. Jimmy, a few times lately when I sit, I sort of, I don't know whether I fall asleep or whether I go into a trance state, and it's only like for half a song, one song. What's happening there? Am I falling asleep or am I going into a trance state?
It looks here as if you are dropping into the deeper levels there. However, looking at the energy, you may find once or twice you're going a little bit too deep. But the majority of the time, looking at the energy there, it does look as if you're dropping into those deeper levels.
Oh, good. Not falling asleep then. That's good. and just one more. Am I actually working on the blockage on my neck and shoulders? Is it getting better?
There's still more work to be done there, but indeed it is improving and you're breaking into it there. But there's still more work to be done there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I had a question about out-of-body experiences. When I go out of my body, I seem to be using all my 5 senses and things like that. And, you know, I have a full experience when I'm out of my body. But the problem I have is when I come back, I wanted to write a book about out-of-body experiences. But when I come back to my body, I find that I can't remember. Is it because I'm using someone else's body when I'm out of my body, as it were, and using their senses, and therefore when I come back in my own body, I don't have the information in my body to be able to write it down? Or is there anything I can do to bring the information back with me ever?
Indeed, it's about how the mind is processing the information to then store it into memory, which is a problem that will often occur with working with out-of-body experiences, that the mind is limited in its understanding. And depending on what is going on in the mind will limit what it can store. So the best thing you can do before you go for an out-of-body experience is try and sit in the power and try and work with the body to try and get the chemical system in to a natural process so that when you return, it's able to store things into memory, unlike a dream which is in short-term memory and then forgotten.
Okay.
So I can expand a bit there now. Limitation there isn't a physical. It's nothing to do with your energetic side or anything that you're doing wrong. It's simply the physical retaining. Now, if you want to expand the retention on the physical, you can use a shock treatment within the physical body. Now, this is to bring yourself back in a very quick way, such as when you're ready to come back, moving the big toe, you very much shift your consciousness back to the physical very quickly, which will then release a lot of endorphins into the body. This will help the information to be retained by the mind.
Oh, that's interesting. Thank you.
Thanks. Just another question, and it's going back to, I think, Lyra's question. Just in terms of when you're working with the energy of the sitter, is that not then you're working psychically?
Not necessarily. What you're doing there is you're using the energy of the sitter, and you're actually making the sitter the conduit or the medium, and then you're acting as a channel through that. So if you can get the power in yourself, then you yourself will act as the medium. Otherwise, you're simply using the sitter to be your conduit to make the connection.
Thank you.
And with that, my friends, I must return the medium to you.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
And remember the love inside you, take it with you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Jimmy.
Thank you, Jimmy.
God bless.
Thank you, Jimmy. Lots of love.
Thanks, Jimmy.